Oh boy, all these eyes on me. Might have to all turn that way. But anyways, I just want to thank all the ladies and gents that came and walked with me as we walked the last hard road for Mom. So good afternoon to all of you, and those that don't know who I am. I'm Arlene Shillington, and this is my sister Alice Root. I want to thank all of you for being here to honor the life of our mother, Adele Marie Rossal. And we wanted to share some qualities that defined our mom through her life, not just in the later years. And you can imagine how hard it is to write a eulogy for someone you love so dearly and probably won't give it justice. So bear with me as I go. The first thing that comes to mind is her work ethic. And Father mentioned that earlier, but there wasn't a time that I don't remember her multitasking. She always had Days of Our Lives on, or Young and the Restless, and she's folding laundry, or she's shelling peas, or she's clearing drawers, or she's doing something. And her motto was always work first, play later, and honestly, I don't remember her ever playing. She was always working, and I think we all took that on as our own as well. Mom had a very big reputation of being direct and honest, sometimes at the worst moments ever, often without a filter. While it was often surprising what came out of her mouth, she always was, it was her way of showing us that the only way to be truly vulnerable was to be real. And she did that well. She showed us that love was an action. Her acts of kindness were always mixed with gifts. She was always at our house making meals. She didn't come to visit. She came to make meals or to bake cookies, even if they were as hard as a rock. Even if the boys would know, okay, Grandma had made cookies. We always had to dunk it into something. She was always doing loads of laundry. The boys would almost dread sometimes when Grandma would come because she was always fixing their drawers. And she would drag them into their rooms and say, okay, we need to fix your drawers now. And so she'd empty all of it out and make them all fold them. Or I remember one time I went to work and I came back and she had reorganized my whole pantry. She could not sit still if her life depended on it. And she was often looking in my freezer to see if we had any frozen bananas to make banana bread. We always had banana bread, more banana bread than we ever wanted. Mom was ahead of her time. She was probably the most courageous woman that I know. She was ahead of her time. With only a grade 5 education, she left the family farm and went off to do barbering course and hairdressing. Getting a journeyman back then was a big deal. And her being the very first female barber, she told everybody that over the years. She went on to own her own home and travel Europe with a family friend prior to even getting married. And that was a long time ago. Nowadays, nobody would think twice about that. She started a new career as a single mom. She was a single mom at 48. She restarted her life with a 10-year-old and a 7-year-old. She had to create a new career for herself because by that time she didn't know how to be a barber anymore, or the styles had changed. So she started with daycare. She did relief, childcare working for social work, for the social system. So kids would be dropped off randomly for her to care for them, for social services. And in her later years, she worked at a personal care home for the last 15 years.
She had a deep love for her family and friends. She loved gardening, flowers, and so much that she didn't even own East Heights anymore, where we had renters. She would walk all the way from Forget Towers near Markham to East Heights to tend for her garden. Mom had a unique bond with her mother, Agnes Julé. Grandma took care of our mom after separation and divorce, and later when Grandma aged, Mom was at her daily at the nursing home. Their bond was like sisters, more than mother and daughter. They loved each other immensely, and Mom had a great pride and respect for her brothers. She would often say, my brother Louis, my brother Laurier, my brother Rene, my brother Robert. They were all bonded by the loss of their father on her 24th birthday. she had fond memories of their unforgettable trip to Mexico with her brothers and their spouses.
I was blessed that I was born 2 hours before her birthday. She said often that I was sent to bring happiness to her birthday again. We celebrated our birthdays together every year. And on her last birthday, I was thinking it'd probably be her last. I brought her this, you'll see it on the table, this pink hat and red necklaces and balloons. And she proudly wore it in the front of the nursing home, and as everyone would pass by, she'd say, "Look what my daughter did, look what my daughter did. Look at, we're celebrating her birthday." And when I brought her carrot cake, as I always do, and today, our immediate family is going to share in carrot cake one last time. And as Father said, her earthly birthday today is done. So my birthday will never be the same. No doubt about that one. We know that you're enjoying carrot cake in heaven, and we're going to enjoy carrot cake one last time as immediate family, celebrating her birthday. Mom was a devoted grandmother to Patrick and Brandon and Ashton and Austin, and great-grandmother to Mowgli. She often made it known how upset she was that she didn't have a granddaughter or a great-granddaughter. But on a positive note, she always said the greatest thing in her life was her daughters, her girls.
Patrick remembers fondly riding a bus from Estevan to Saskatoon so he could spend a holiday at the lake with me and Terry. He recalls her counting the semi-trucks to entertain at the time on the bus, and how he couldn't change a channel when she was watching The Price is Right and playing cards like Go Fish. Brandon remembers staying overnight at Forget Towers and going across the street to the community gardens, and her giving him bags of candies like those little red heart Valentine candies, bags of Twizzlers and gum and hard as rock cookies that she made. He always remembered her always making banana bread and keeping the batteries in the fridge. I don't know why she thought this was good. Mom came to spend a lot of time with me, Austin and Ashton every week until she was into her 80s. She shared her expertise on gardening. She showed me how I had to plant certain things together and how the rows had to be done a certain way. She always helped me and she always helped me with my sick kids so I can return to work. Austin and Ashton spent lots of times doing puzzling and coloring with her, and she taught them how to do nightly prayers. Mom was a baby whisperer. She rocked and patted her grandchildren, her cousins, or take care of babies when they were colicky. She had a gift to get the babies to be calmed down.
Mom had a mischievous sense of humor and a quick wit and a contagious laugh. And when we were younger and the house was dirty, she would say, "Were you all born in a barn?" Or she would say something like, "At least put some sugar on it. If you're gonna say it, at least say some sugar on it." And over the years, I never heard her swear. She'd always say, "Holy crickets, holy crickets." But more recently, she made us laugh quite abruptly because she would say, "Oh shit," really loud, and we'd be like, "Oh my," and then she'd start laughing, and then we'd start laughing, and the laughter would just continue. Mom had an impeccable ability to show compassion and love, and even on her deathbed, as we were saying goodbye, tears were rolling. She's unconscious and unresponsive, and tears are rolling down her face as she responds to our tears. Her faith was such a huge part of her life. She would pray every night. She would teach the grandkids how to pray, but not only that, when we would tell her about our trials, she would say, "I'll add that to my prayers." She walked to St. Anne's Chapel to attend Mass regularly with Grandma until she passed, and then even after, she would volunteer to push elders from the chapel to their rooms.
Arlene and I also fondly remember Mom always being very fair, almost oddly so. We would get the same sweaters and the exact same ghetto blasters. She always paid attention to, even with the grandchildren, making sure no one felt more favored than other. Our only family vacation was the Expo 86, taking the train from Saskatoon to BC, visiting cousins along the way. We will carry our mother's legacy with us. She dedicated to family her tireless work ethic, and her loving acts of kindness and gifts will continue on through her grandchildren, and great-grandchildren.
Before you go today, we would love it if you would please help yourself to the mints that are on the table, on the front table there. Mom shared it with everybody she knew. It was her tongues, but it was also her way of showing love to everybody. We would love it if you would take some as well. And we would love it if, before you leave, you get an opportunity, if you haven't already, to look at Mom's coloring. She loved to color all the way to the last week of her life. And some of her pictures of all of the special things of her life. We thank you all for being part of our day with her. We love you, Mom. We will carry you always. We will see you in heaven.